In the name of Allah, the most compassionate and most merciful, I'm glad to be here once again, dear student. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Today I'm going to deliver lecture number 10 about types of educations, about the subjects of sociology. So last lecture we discussed about the needs for education, definition and meanings of definition. Now we're talking about the types of educations. امروز ما در مورد انواع تحصیل یا آموزش گپ میزنیم که ما از چند طریق میتونیم یا آموزش را فرا بگیریم یا مثلا آموزش را به دست بیاریم، تحصیل کنیم، از کدام جایگاهی که میتونیم ما خود از اوجا برسانیم، در اوجا ما علمیت را حاصل بکنیم، از یک انسان ضعیف به یک انسان قوی از لحاظ علمیت برخوردار باشیم. ما از کدام طریق میتونیم تحصیل، از کدام انواع میتونیم استفاده کنیم، در موردشان گپ میزنیم. So we're talking about the types of educations. The meaning of education will remain the same, but the types are the difference. But the objects and means and aims of education are the same. Maybe the source of getting education might be different, but the meaning and purpose and aims of education will remain the same. So types of education, when we talk about it, goes beyond what it takes place within the four walls of the classroom. A child gets the education from his experience outside the school as well as from those within on the basis of these factors. There are three main types of education, namely formal, informal, and non-formal. It is not only important that a person is qualified or being qualified under the four walls, sitting inside the four walls and getting something and learning something, but a person can learn outside the four wall as well throughout his life. It's also called education, which is coming in some different source and different types of education. So types of education: formal, informal, and non-formal. Education goes beyond what makes it different for us. So as we talk about that, it's mainly we have three types of education, that is formal, informal, and non-formals. Now, what is formal educations or formal learning? I usually take place in the premises of school, where a person may learn basic academic or trade skill. Small children often attend nursery or kindergarten, but often formal education begins in elementary schools and continue with secondary school. Post-secondary school education or higher education is usually at college or university, which may grant an academic degree. It's associated with a specific or stage and is provided under a certain set of rules and regulations. The formal education is given by a specially qualified teacher. They are supposed to be efficient in art of instructions. It also observes strict disciplines. The students and the teacher both are aware of the facts and engage themselves in the process of education. So education in a formal or a formal learning, it means that there is a proper system of session of examinations, and there is a proper rules and regulations are being applied, and there is a definite session for appearing in the final and intermediate exam for showing the academic grade of a student. So education is one of the most important aspect of learning that is taken through formal way, where there is a definite structure, a definite rules and regulations. The administration is running according to the principle and constitution of educational institutions are running according to constitution of countries. So that is formal. It means at the end of the course completion, so students might be provided with degree and certificate based on their qualifications. So example of formal education is, for example, learning in a classroom, school grading, certification, college, university degree, planned education of different subject, having a proper syllabus acquired by attending the institutions. This is the example of formal educations. While what the characteristic does it have is a formal education is structured hierarchically, it is a planned and a deliberate system of educations. Scheduled fees are paid regularly by the students to the administration for the learning costing facility for the running of institutions. As well, it has a chronological grading system. It starts from the very low and going to the middle and high levels of higher education. It has a syllabus and subject oriented. The syllabus has to be covered within a specific period of time, within one semester, or an annual system. The child is taught by the teacher who are already qualified in the relevant disciplines. Now, what are the advantages of formal educations? An organized educational model and up-to-date course contents are there in a formal education. That's why it's one of the important. Students acquire knowledge from trained and professional teachers who are already been qualified by the foreign qualified doctors and philosophers, and they are being serving in different parts of the globe and imparting the quality education to the peoples. But the professionals are already being qualified in a professional places. So there is a structured and systematic learning process. You have to go across and have to face many stages of your educational systems. And it means that step by step you have to go ahead in like a grading system. You have to go like you were, for example, you were going ahead. So intermediate and final assessment are ensured to advance student to the next learning phase by getting of exam, might be oral, might be written, and might be theoreticals as well as practicals. So mainly institutions are managerially and physically organized setup they are having in their physical shape could be seen by everyone in the surrounding geographical area. So these formal education is leading to a formally recognized certificate. At the end of the completion of coursework, is that a school, university or college, a student will be given or will be awarded or granted a certificate, a degree or diploma based on their qualifications and merits and based on their intelligence levels. As well as formal educations having an easy access to job, those who are being foreign qualified and formal qualified peoples and well qualified people, they can have an easy access to all sort of jobs. So what are the disadvantages of formal educations? It might have disadvantages as well. Sometimes the brilliant students are bored due to the long wait for the expiry of the academic session to promote the next stage. Chance of the bad habits. Adoption may be learning due to the presence of both good and bad students in the classroom. And wastage of time, as some lazy students may fail to learn properly in spite of motivation by the professional trainers. And some unprofessionals and non-standard educational system may cause the wastage of time in many of the students that leads to the disappointment from formal education and argue them to go for non-formal education and costly and rigid education as compared to the other forms of learning. So if it does have a formal education have an advantage, at the same time it have a disadvantage. So maybe bad and good student at the same time, they might be sitting in a class and learning environment where both might be having a chance of a bad habits might be taken from the bad student in a class. So that's one of the disadvantage. Another thing, even the brilliant student have to wait for a long time in order to complete an year or to wait for a final exam. So the time might be wasting there. So that's another disadvantage. So that is disadvantage. Well, beside all these, we're also having informal educations. Maybe a parent teaching a child how to prepare a meal or ride a bicycle. Informal education is when you're not studying in school and do not use any particular learning methods. In this type of education, conscious efforts are not involved. It's neither pre-planned or nor deliberate one. It may be learned at some marketplace, hotels, or at home, anywhere outside the schools or educational institution. You can learn this sort of education. Might be an open ground, might be a road in a street, and maybe a gossiping place where the people are talking with each other. It might be a hotel at home. So this sort of education can be taken from any other place rather than educational institutions. Unlike formal education, informal education is not imparted by an institution such as school or college. Informal education is not given according to any fixed timetable. There is no set curriculum required. Informal education consists of experience in actually living in the family or communities. So there is no specific ruled education. There is no specific sessions for conducting examination and finishing the course syllabus, and no proper curriculums are being prepared there for informal educations. So the source of education might be the family and parents, the person where the person is living. And it's not important that such education might be imparted in a school or college or another institution. So that is informal. It's informally imparted to the people in any place. So some of the example of informal education, for example, teaching the child some basics such as numeric characters, someone learning his or her mother tongue, a spontaneous type of learning. If a person standing in a bank learns about openings and maintaining the account at the bank from someone. In some other example, for example, riding a bicycle, you might be learning from brothers, from fathers. Riding a car, for example, riding and driving a car is another source of informal learning where there is no schools or taking place. In other technical subjects that's being applied practically over the course of time to the peoples, and people are learning that. So that is called all informal education. So characteristics of informal education: مشخصات فامیلی آموزش غیر رسمی یا تحصیل غیر رسمی چی است؟ It is independent of boundary walls. ای آزاد است، میتونین در هر جایی شما به دست بیارین، هر جایی که باشه، یعنی مربوط به یک مکتب و مهندون و مدرسه نمیشه. It has no definite syllabus. یک سیستم و سلیبس مشخص را ندارد. It is not pre-planned and has no timetable. نه تقسیمات داره و نه هم پیش پلان شده. No fees are required as we get informal education through daily experience and by learning new things. It's a long life process in a natural way. در طول زمان ما میتونیم این آموزش بگیریم، کدام مشخص چی نداره. So the certificate degree are not involved and no one has stress for learning the new things. You can get it from any source such as media, life experience, friends and family. Through all these sources you can get these educations. Advantage of informal education is a more naturally learning process, as you can learn at anywhere and at any time for your daily experience. It means the advantage is that you can get this education from anywhere at any time. There is no specific process of learning stage. So it involves activities like individual and personal research on a topic of interest for themselves by utilizing some books, libraries, social media, internet, or getting assistance from informal trainers. Usually a variety of techniques are being utilized by this informal educations. There is no specific time span that from where you have to start and from where you have to end. And less costly and time efficient learning processes are there, and no need to hire experts, as most of the professionals may be willing to share their precious knowledge with students in public through social media and the internet. You can have it from any source of media. And learners can be backed up by the requisite information from books, TV, radio, or conversation with their friends and family members. So they all do get this sort of learning from many sources. So such kind of facility would be available. It's quite easy to get the education. So this is what the advantage of informal educations. At the same time, this advantage education, informal education might be having informal means as well a disadvantage. So what are the disadvantages of this form of education? अगर फायदा दारा नुकसानात शांची है. So informal information acquired from the internet, social media, TV, radio, and conversation with family members may lead to the disinformation, as well as utilized technique may not be appropriate through which we are getting the educations, because we do get this education through many sources. So the utilization of the techniques that we are getting the education may not be properly appropriate for learning, as well as there is no proper schedule and time span there. So there is no restriction over the time span and timetable. So that's why laziness may also come there, and some sort of quick sort of education will not take place. Unpredictable result which may simply the waste of their time, it's also possible. And lack of confidence in the learner is another example, because he is not in a restricted environment in a classroom just to talk in front of the people, while he is in an open ground where only he can utilize his own knowledge without any restriction. But lack of confidence may take place in those people who are taking education in informal means, and absence of discipline, attitudes and good habits are one of the main concern issue of the informal education, of what the student will be not properly following the good attitudes and good habits, and there may not be a good disciplines among the people, as it is already taken away this sort of education from many sources where there is no proper system of getting education. So that's why we would not expect any good behavior from all the people who are being informally educated from different sources. So once the person is being passed from the process of socialization, then he can get a good result. So non-formal education is another types of education. The third type include adult basic education, adult literacy education, or school equivalency preparations. In non-formal education, someone who is not in school can learn literacy, other basic skills or job skills. Home education, individualized instruction such as program learning, distance learning and computer assisted instruction, other possibilities are being used for non-formal educations. So non-formal education is imparted consciously and deliberately and systematically implemented. It should be organized for a homogeneous group. Non-formal education should be programmed to serve the needs of the identified group. This will necessitate flexibility in the design of the curriculums and the scheme of evaluation. So there is also in non-formal education a systematic and deliberately implemented system of education where there is organized homogeneous type of identified specific groups are being under the educational learning process where the people are getting their education. So a proper flexibility of a curriculum is being designed there. It's according to the needs of the societies and needs of the people. So it is always about on the scheme of the evaluation of the program. While we are also having some example of non-formal education by Scouts and Guide develop some sport programs such as swimming comes under non-formal education, fitness program, community-based adult education courses, free courses for adult education developed by some organizations. These are the example of non-education. While we are also having some characteristics of non-formal education, the non-formal education is planned and takes support from the school system. The timetable and syllabus can be adjustable. Unlike theoretical formal education, it is practical in vocational education. Non-formal education has no age limit. Fees or certificates may or may not be necessary. It may be full-time or part-time learning and can earn and learn together. It involves learning of professional skills. Quite simple. It's very much clear. It's a learning of professional people. So some people might be learning a skill of vocational institutions, so a timetable might be adjusted according to the needs of the students and needs of the administrations. So almost there might be some practical as well beside the theoretical formal education as well. So almost other important things is that there is no time limits up to age, time limit of the age that up to age the people can learn, but it is for all ages. So these are all the characteristics of non-formal education. So beside all these, we might be having some advantage of non-formal education as well. It is practice and vocational training, naturally growing mind that do not wait for the system to amend, literacy with skillfulness, growth in which self-learning is appreciated, flexibility in age, curriculum and time, open-ended educational system in which both the public and private sectors are involved in the process, no need to conduct a regular exam, diploma, certificate and course are awarded are not essential to be awarded to the students. So this is the advantage. امتحان ضرورت نیست که امتحان گرفته شود، سرتیفیکیت و این چیزها ضرور هم نیستن که برای محصل داده شود. به اساس عمر فلکسیبیلیتی وجود دارد، میتونن هر عمر انسانی که داشته باشد میتونن نان فرمال ادویکیشن از این طریق مثلا تحصیل بکند. میتواند توسط این سیستم یک سیستم باز است، توسط ادارات رسمی و غیر رسمی البته دولتی و شخصی میتواند راه اندازی شود و میتواند ایجاد این سیستم های طوری باید به پیش برود که در اوجا ما آموزشی به شکل مسلکی داشته باشیم. و disadvantage of non-formal education، نقصاناتش هم است attendance or participant is unsteady. کسایی که حاضرین اشتراک کنندگان پروگرام هستند در این نوع تحصیل unsteady هستند، ثابت نیستند، گیمی باشد اگه نه. Sometimes it is just wasted of time and there is no need to conduct the exam on regular basis and no degree diploma is awarded at the end of the turning sessions. بعضی اوقات وقت زیاد هم هستند به خاطر اینکه امتحان گرفته نمی شود، تحصیل و دیپلم داده نمی شود، به این خاطر فکر انسان ها باز میکنه که وقت ضایع است. Basic reading and writing skills are crucial to tolerance. No professional trained teachers. ضرورت به این است که استاد شما مسلکی باشه. Student may not enjoy full confidence as the regular students enjoy. Some institutes provide fake certification through online courses just for the sake of learning. در اینمی سیستم بعضی اوقات مردم به خاطر به دست آورده عواید خودش اسناد جعلی به افراد را میده. خب هر راهی که باشد ما میخواهیم علم را کسب بکنیم، ما خود را بفهمانیم، مشکلات جامعه، مشکلات اجتماعی که ما شما در جامعه برای شما روبرو میشین و را حل بکنیم. خاطر که education is a gateway to professions، یک راهی هستند، یک راهنمود به وظیفه گرفتن هستند و به مسلک هستند. تحصیل it means education means everything. Illiteracy means nothing. Thank you for the time being with me. Wish you all the best till another lectures. Hope that everyone is doing well with the lectures. If you're facing any problem with regard to the lectures, so let me have my number from the WhatsApp on the first slide and you can contact with me regarding your concerning issues.